Hi and welcome. Today's lesson is about the introduction to sustainability. So we're going to go through the basics of sustainability and the general definition of it. But starting from us, who is C.L.A.S.S and what we are doing? So C.L.A.S.S is a textile platform that was founded in 2007 by Giuseppe Bettoni. As you can read, it is a responsible hub recognized internationally that since 2007 aims to promote a new generation of sustainable businesses and values, partnering up with key players in the market, from fiber producer to weavers, knitters, dyers, finisher, brands, and even retailers and e-tailers. C.L.A.S.S mission is to trigger change by promoting the new generation of materials, services, and ingredients. Specifically, our platform is divided in 3 areas. So the first one, that is called Smart Tools. Then we have the Smart Academy, and finally the Smart Shop. Starting from the Smart Tools is a platform of responsible and traceable materials, innovations and tools and technologies able to inject sustainability into textiles, fashion, collection and companies' performance. Then we got the Smart Academy, a rich program of events and talks and classes and services to educate, raise awareness, and inspire professional manufacturers, students, and all those who strongly believe in sustainable values. And finally, the Smart Shop, that is our e-commerce platform where we are able to sell directly super interesting and premium and smart materials, yarns and fabrics specifically, from 0 up to 50 meters, ideally. But let's go into the key topic of this lesson. So what is sustainability? You know, we have many definitions in the market. I'm sure that you read tons of them, but we selected 3 that in our opinion respect at best the values behind this word. So the first one is sustainability is a goal that must be reached through a long and constant journey. So it's not a switch on off power button, is really a journey that we need to do and to run. And you know, sustainable development meets the needs of the present without compromising future generation. So it's not just something that it's made right now and that affect the present, but of course will affect a lot also the future. This definition is what probably we like the most, was told by the Nike's Chief Operation Officer, Eric Sprung, that says there is no innovation without sustainability. And then fundamental, measurements. There is no sustainability without measuring its environmental and ethical impact. Sustainability of products and processes only exists if properly traced and measured. So it's not enough to get certification, it's not enough to claim to be sustainable. We need numbers, we need measurement, we need analysis to prove that what we are saying is correct. And look, this is our pillars. So C.L.A.S.S is based on a 4-dimensional approach where we put together design, sustainability, innovation, and communication. Of course, design is key. We are in the fashion apparel world where style as the first priority. Without style, without design, nobody's gonna buy anything. Then of course we got the innovation in terms of materials, of production processes, of circular business models. Sustainability as a third pillar, of course, where sustainability we have to analyze company level, production level, social welfare, ocean preservation, that is already a trend that is becoming more and more important, and finally the animal welfare. But all of these 3 pillars without the last one are meaningless. Of course, we need to communicate them. So communication has to be part of sustainability actions that you have to do. So it's communication in terms of storytelling and story making, but where storytelling must match the story making and be authentic and be true. So it's fundamental that all of these 4 criteria and pillars are in your strategy when you think about sustainability. But what does it mean to be sustainable? What is the definition of sustainability? Well, we saw prior 3 different ones. In this slide, we try to put together the real meaning for us. And as I mentioned before, we need to analyze the company, the product, and the new the new added values actually that the new generation of consumer wants. So starting from the company, of course, we need to look at the vision and strategy of a company. We need to see and prove that the company has an innovation approach, a responsible approach, and is ethical towards their own supply chain, possibly. When you talk about the products, of course, we need to analyze and measure the environmental impact of ingredients, production processes, dyeing and finishing, if you talk about textiles, manufacturing, the packaging, transportation, and lastly, but not less important, end of life. The end of life is a new value that all the new generation of consumers want, and we need to consider it, starting from the design, but we will talk a little bit later. And then we go to the central part of this slide, so the new cross-core added values that are speaking to consumers. So as you can read, we got very practical example of new values such as transparency, traceability, water, energy, CO2 savings, material health, nobody's talking about it, social values, and animal welfare. As you can see, we put the certification and studies and analysis at the bottom of the slide, not because we don't believe in them, of course, but because these are tools that have to be used to prove the authenticity of the above values, okay? So we need to use certification to prove that what we are claiming is correct and is authentic. But let's go to analyze the certifications. As you can see, we divided certification by company, by products, and by new values. When you talk about companies, we can divide two big words, the ethical word and environmental word. When you talk about ethical, probably you are familiar with the ISO 9000, 9001, or the STEP by Ecotex. In the environmental side, we got the famous one, Detox, Blue Sign, the ISO 40000, 40001. When you talk about products, of course, these are certification that claims most of the time a production process or the content of a product. So, for example, if we want to analyze a recycled product, you have to look for the GRS, that is the Global Recycle Standard. While if you're looking for an organic production, of course, the reference certification is the GOTS. And lastly, the new values assessment and certification. So the LCA, Blue Sign, the IG Index, the APD, or the Ecotex Made in Green certifications. These are all studies, analysis, and certification that are speaking a new generation of values. But let's have also a quick look about the circular economy. You know, circular economy has been probably over-talked in the latest year, in the last 5 years, I have to say. And we think there is a bit of confusion around the real meaning of it. So what does circular economy mean? We are currently between the linear economy and the recycling economy, okay? And of course, we are all aiming to go into the circular economy model. But in order to be specific, circular economy is not a greenwashing word, it's not a concept. It's a real economic system that reduces waste, keeping products and materials at maximum levels during the whole life, following the cradle-to-cradle cycle. So cradle-to-cradle is actually a certification that is certifying and is defining every single product to be or not a circular economy one. How they can do it? Technically, they have established two cycles. One that is called biological cycle and the other one that is technical cycle. In the biological cycle, products are consumed during or after use. Materials are returned into the biosphere in the form of compost or other nutrients from which new materials can be created. Okay, so we're talking about a product that can return to the earth without polluting it. The technical cycle, on the other hand, materials are not used up during use, but instead should be seen as a service product. Materials in product designed for the technical cycle can be reprocessed to allow them to be used in a new product. It's not rare, actually, that many of the biological cycle products can before going again in a technical cycle. So, for example, in the paper industry, when you recycle paper, actually, you start from a technical cycle, so you have to recycle it, but lastly, the new generation of cellulosic paper actually can be also a biological cycle. So at the end of life, it will disappear in the environment without releasing any harmful substances for the environment. And let's have a look also at the smart consumers. So a new generation of consumer. Probably you are familiar with this slide, or at least with the content. As you know, fashion industry is one of the most polluting industry in the world. As you can read, over than 10 billion garments are produced globally every year. And fashion actually is responsible for 20 to 35% of microplastic flows in the ocean. And over 92 million tons of waste are produced every year, and 79 trillion liters of water are consumed. So we're talking about a huge impact. So we need to be aware of it, and we need to make some changes. You know, clothing and footwear are responsible for around 2.1 billion tons of CO2 emission, about 4% of the global total. This is the equivalent to the sum of the annual CO2 emission of France, Germany, and UK altogether. If not further action is taken over the next decade, the fashion industry's CO2 emissions are likely to rise around 2.7 billion tons per year by 2030. So we're talking about an exponential rate, and we need to do something, of course. And consumers are playing a great role in this mission, actually, because all of us as consumers can have the power to change. So the world, talking about the world, 81% of respondents worldwide belong to one of the two shopper segments, where 41% are value-oriented, okay, that want positive value, and 40% are purpose-oriented, who seek products and services aligned with their values. And look, 57% of consumers is willing to change their shopping habits to help reduce the negative environmental impact. As you can read, interest around sustainability is increasing largely all over the world. Look at the numbers here. So you have, of course, Denmark on the top. Scandinavian countries are always ahead, where you can see an increase of 114% of online research of sustainable fashion compared to 2019, and also you know, Australia, Germany, Spain, France, all the world basically are the research are increased a lot. So we got an increased demand for sustainable product. And as for a trade-up report of 2020 with COVID-19, changes that were already afoot in retail are accelerating rapidly. Sheltering in place catalyzed the shift toward shopping online. Second, consumers everywhere are prioritizing values. When times get uncertain, we all focus on our family's balance sheet, of course. Brands whose core productions and propositions delivers values and convenience have the opportunity to gain share. Amazon, for example, off-price and resale are emerging as winners. But what actually this new generation of consumers is looking for? Mainly, we're talking about health and justice, new tools and strategies, digitalization, durability, and transparency and traceability. Probably these latest values are the most important. You know, every one of us are willing to understand where every single product is coming from, which are the production companies behind. You know, 86% of people say transparency from businesses is more important than ever before. Okay, and these are numbers. This is true. This is not Luca opinion. This is the reality. So we need to follow it. And, you know, to summarize, nowadays the new generation values are booming. You know, we need to do something great for value-driven consumer. Thanks for attention, and remember to follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.